as we always do about this time, sucker shit.
I was thinking, man.
Uh-oh.
I was really thinking about this one.
Uh-oh.
That's never really good, but let's see where this goes.
It's an echo in here. Only in relationships and conversations with the opposite sex do the basic rules that we all adhere to change. And we act like it's normal. Okay? So it gets to the point where you're not even in a relationship no more, you're really playing a game show. Okay, let me give you some examples.
Okay.
You look at your woman, she's upset. Hey, babe, is everything all right? You look upset. Well, what makes you think I'm upset? Well, see, in normal conversation, when you ask a question, you get an answer. But when you're in a relationship, your question is answered with a question. So what game you playing? Well, you playing Jeopardy. Because see, in Jeopardy, the question is the answer, right? I'll give you another one. You and your lady get into it, whatever it is, small, medium, large. You go off to work, do whatever, go to cool off. And the time you gone, she's talked to her mother, 2 or 3 aunties. She done talked to 2 best friends, 1 girl and then 1 gay dude, because she got to say, I talked to a man too. So you got to throw the gay dude in there, right? If it was over the weekend, she done talked to her hairdresser because she had an appointment, and the chicks in seats 1, 3, and 6.
Yeah.
All right, they was also input on it. So by the time you go to talk back to her, now you got the opinions of all the people involved. You say, baby, it's time for us to talk. And then you know what you hear? Survey says, because you playing Family Feud, nigga. Because you got the opinions of 100 people in your damn conversation. Give you another one.
Uh-oh.
We're a little older now. So we've known women that have messed over dudes in their 20s, messed up relationships in their 30s and 40s. The common denominator is them, right?
Right.
But then they will look you in your face and say, well, Jesus just ain't sent the right one to him. Right? Who knew Jesus was Chuck Woolery and we was playing Love Connection? He's supposed to be savior of the planet and get Keisha a husband.
Hey, man, he's saving Keisha's world.
Now, my last one, a lot of people don't know this one. And this is for the fellas. Wouldn't be like, oh, you always picking on us. No, this was for the fellas.
Okay.
You did something you wasn't supposed to do. And you sitting there and your woman asking you about it. And you lie. Now, what you don't realize is she already know what you did. Right? So you doing your Bill Clinton. You sticking with the story. Right? She start rattling little details, dropping in the story to let you know that she knows. Well, now you playing the first televised game show ever. It's called Truth or Consequences. You better answer right, niggas. You game show niggas on some sucker shit.
I like that one. So let me ask a question. So it's interesting. You said the opposite thing he said.
Yeah.
But so you feel like people are getting judged in the church. What do you think they're getting judged for or about?
I think it's more so just that whole classic you're losing your morals argument, right? Where when you go to the church and you start telling people certain things, if the previous generation who kind of is the anchor of the church, here's the things you're doing now, and they come from the perspective of, oh, we never did that, or we were always told that was wrong, you are in the wrong for doing that, and people get pushed away by that. Because if you already kind of coming at me like that, like the way my generation especially sees things is if you coming at me like that, I don't want to hear you.
Well, because you have a generation that can't handle criticism, that hates accountability, and they've come up with great terms for everything that makes them uncomfortable.
True, but how much accountability is too much accountability?
And let me retract my statement. Y'all actually said the same thing.
Okay.
Because no, I was going to say,
you said the same thing.
First of all,
Pretty much.
the church didn't lie to you because they said they wanted you to grow in your faith. They didn't say they wanted you to grow in wisdom. They didn't say they wanted to grow in knowledge.
Right.
They didn't say they was going to answer your questions.
Right.
Well, then
Their version of faith is
Don't
what
question.
they wanted you to grow in.
Yeah, don't question.
Right? But that's not how you're made, and that's not, how you were raised. We have all of these terms now that didn't exist. And it's language, and language changes and new words and all of that stuff, but it's comfort food language. Right? It's like a big ass bowl of stew, chili. And it's all designed to make you feel better about the shit you don't want to handle in your life. Right? You're what's that? Oh man, shout out to Green Gorilla. I just watched this episode about the new discipline called Fat Studies.
Fat studies?
Right?
I gotta watch that.
A new discipline called Fat Studies, right?
Okay.
Because you can't be, judgmental of fat. Well, I'm not gonna judge you, but your cardiologist will.
Fair.
Right? Okay, and then shout out to Rennie. He not here. A lot of y'all don't know he's a celebrity judge at a midget dunk contest at Venice Beach today. The favorite is a dude named Shorty Mac.
My man Renoir.
So what I just said right there.
Okay.
Okay. Now I use the word midget. You're not supposed to use that word anymore, right? So what's the word? It's not midgetist, but
Little people.
Yeah, it's supposed to know whatever the slander is that you make fun of an old person.
Oh.
Now you're an ageist.
Yeah.
Okay? So you can't even crack jokes about it. But then if you try to get to anything serious that people don't want to peel back the layers, well, they'll throw up those words or label you as something, because once you're labeled as something, I don't have to hear anything you say.
Right. Right.
You're a racist. No, your black ass was stealing.
Yeah. Yeah. The last two dudes who stole was black.
No, sometimes you're a misogynist.
Oh shit. Well, listen. Here's the rub, and you and I have left the church for different reasons than you stated. But the reason you stated should be the reason you stay in church.
Okay. Elaborate.
Talk about judgment. The judgment is, don't judge me for what I do. I should be able to do whatever I want to do. And because you are judging me, I don't want to go to church. Well, maybe you should get married before you have kids. Maybe you should have some sort of moral compass and guidance on how you conduct yourself. Maybe those things are things that you should be judged on. Why? Because when we talk about norms, mores, and morals, those are the things that that lay the foundation for society. So when we think about what church represented, it was the only place that black folk could congregate together, right? Post-slavery, during slavery. So it just naturally became that place. The Bible is about self-help, right? It's a great self-help book, if you look at it that way, right? How do I be my best self, right? And being your best self means some people are gonna call you out for your shit. It's like, hey, I'm gonna hold you accountable. Are you being your best self in this moment? Your generation don't want to hear that. Our generation have left because of the bullshit.
That too. That too.
Well,
No, you ain't been in it long enough to call it bullshit.
Okay, I can see that. I can see where you're coming.
No, I don't believe in a lot. I stay open to new information. So most of the time I'll say I think, okay? And then 10% of the time I might say I feel. It's very rare. But church, religion, if you want to call it that, at one point set the moral foundation, like he said, for us. Now, I don't care if you get that from Jesus. I don't care if you get that
Right.
from Allah.
Right.
I don't care if you get that from Buddha. I don't care if you get it from Ralph. Y'all,
Lettuce.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah,
like too
nobody-
young for that.
yeah.
Rerun on what's happening when you praying in the head of lettuce called Ralph.
Get your squat off my pot.
Yeah, I don't care if you pray to Ralph and Ralph serving you right, then praise Ralph.
Yeah.
Okay, we need the moral foundation and fiber to be returned. Okay, so that word judgment is so funny. So, you know, you can be a crackhead and come to the church, but we gonna tell you're a crackhead and you need to clean up.
Right.
You can sit in the front row with your 3 children by 3 different men, but we gonna tell you, hey sis, close your legs. You gotta tighten this up. Right? But if you do that, oh no, we don't want to be here. They judging you. Sometimes, and most times, it's not judgment. It's a standard. And folks don't want to be held to a standard anymore. But they also, in return, want to hold you to the highest damn standard.
Right.
Right? My whole life, you got to be responsible. You got to, and the flip side, black men ain't this, black men ain't this. So I bust my ass to be as responsible as possible. Made some slip ups along the way, you know, but we all make mistakes, right?
Sin. Mr. Mark.
Right. But I'm okay with being held accountable for everything I've done. We can talk about it because I haven't lived a perfect life, right? Folks always say, I'm not perfect. Well, you do a damn good job of acting like it.
Well, what you just said though, previously about the bullshit. I think another layer of it is, you know, now that we have in an information era, we can all look back at the history of the church and we look at this place and this is just, you said the moral standards, but can we really count on the church to establish those moral standards when they don't necessarily live congruently to their own moral standards? And that's another layer of it too.
The church, like our community, lacks male leadership. And like many other aspects of our community, many of the men that are left are predators on the women.
Yeah.
Because the men that would be the protectors, the men that would set the standard, aren't present.
Right. Right.
I know so many people that follow sweet words and no action. And that's what the church is. That's what our politicians are. That's what our relationship gurus are. That's what's fed to our women. Sweet words, no action. So when you run into action, it's a problem, right? I have been raised by some amazing women, okay? But they just like my t-shirt.
Old school.
They old school, right? That's how, and I'm not saying old school meaning barefoot and pregnant, this and that, because if one of them was here, they'd slap the fire out your mouth for saying that. However, they recognize that there are roles to be played for the best outcome, right? On this recording, it's roles to be played. I'm funnier than this nigga. That's why I tell the jokes.
Real talk.
You know? So he's playing his role, asking all these tricky ass questions that you got to figure out. And then I play my role, okay? But that's what makes it work, right? See, I like today, I'm trying to play his role. I'm wearing a little t-shirt because I was inspired. Because this is his 8th little t-shirt in a row.
Hey man, he's skinny black. He gotta fit the part.
That's funny. That's why you tell the jokes. So, you know, basically, a couple things. So, we recognize and we were around to hear people in the church say one thing and do another. So the contradictions for me, I was like, yo, this is a wrap. And, you know, when you start asking questions, it's like, this ain't really for me, right? I still dug the leadership. I still dug the, you know, even the moral stuff. I get that. I dig that. I dig that from a nation. I dig that from religion. The discipline, it's dope. Just not there anymore. And when we flip that around and we say, How is that affecting relationships in our community? A, black kids born out of wedlock. All right. Is that a moral issue? Is that a no standards issue? Is that a issue? And who determines that? Who determines if a kid is born out of wedlock? Well, that's obvious, right? So the question is, do our women have the type of leadership, because they don't want to be judged, so they ain't there. Do they have the type of leadership to hold them accountable and say, sister, marriage before kids? Women, and this ain't mine, I heard this the other day. Someone said, our women would rather be mothers than wives. And that's out of order.
Well, let's. I mean, it's multi-layered, but let's think of it this way. In terms of access to sex, that's controlled by women. And in most situations, men are the hunters. Okay? So women set the standard that we follow. So those the old joke Steve Harvey used to say, said if women required for dudes to dress up like pirates to get laid, there'd be no eye patches and parrots left for sale, right? And women laugh and like, yeah, that's true, right? Okay, so if your standard was we're not having children before we get married, or even if I don't really want to go marriage, I'm into long-term relationships, right? Or I want this kind of support system around, then as men, we would follow that.
Yep.
Okay, because don't no dude want to live a life without sex.
Yeah, we want to get them draws. Give me them draws.
Now, I'm not placing this squarely on the shoulders of women, because where we've dropped the ball as men is regardless of what they do,
right,
we need to have our own personal set of standards.
Bingo.
Okay, so I don't care what you got going on over here. I live my life in this manner, all right? I'm just pointing out that everybody has their role to play where both parties have dropped the ball. Now, for the most part, I speak directly to young men and some of my peers that are older men. And I say, I'm the standard, right? What would I say? You can be the Temptations. I'm the microphone. I'm the mic stand. Right. You dance all around this damn place. I'll be right here when you get back.
Right.
Okay, because my standard, boom, right? And it gets adjusted based on my moral compass.
Yes.
Okay, and the things that I was raised on. I know I'm solid.
Yeah.
And I know when I'm not solid.
Yeah.
And I got to learn how to continue to call myself out.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you call me out, or if you call me out, that's a blessing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be mad at you if you don't.
Yeah. Well, here's the rub, and I like what you said. The rub is women control access to sex. Men control access to marriage. The question is, if our women are the lowest percentage of women getting married, and we set the standard for marriage, are they signing on to our standards?
Well, marriage is no longer even a standard in our community.
Well, even when we want it, are they signing up, or are they representing the standard that we want?
In mass, no.
Well, the data says that. So
in mass, no. And here's the harsh, one of the harsh realities of it, okay? The number one interracial couple is actually an Asian woman and a white man. Okay? And you say, oh, it's more white people. No. By percentage, not by the gross number, by percentage, okay? So let's say the rumors are true and brothers ain't shit. If you are so desirable, why wouldn't you be the number one interracial woman? Why aren't these men beating down the door to get to you? Now, they'll say racism is, okay, so his racism stopped at yellow.
Is that
Couldn't go
racist to
black.
say
Couldn't
yellow?
go black. Yellow, maybe brown. You
Little
know,
tan.
you know, got a girl from Panama, or Cuba, or something. Okay, but this racism didn't go that far, right? I never heard of half a racist.
Somewhat.
Racist light.
Yeah.
Racist-ish.
If you were applying for a job and the requirement was, okay, you have to have a master's in business, an MBA, and you have a bachelor's, you wouldn't get mad at the owner of the company if he looks at you and says, you don't qualify for this job because you haven't reached the criteria.
Right.
If the criteria stated, you don't reach it, right? You don't get mad. You got to go get an MBA, right? So, and I'm not be so long-winded about it, but let me close the point. Access to sex, you create the standard. He doesn't meet the standard. He doesn't get sex.
Right.
Access to marriage, he creates the standard. You don't meet the standard. You don't get married.
That's it.
It's simple, but because people don't want to go there,
Right.
I'm offended.
Right.
And once I'm offended, I don't have to deal with the reality of the situation. But the numbers don't care about your feelings.
Okay. So that brings me to another layer of that. Your favorite word. Triggers.
Oh, thought you was gonna say sweet potato pie.
Well, that's your favorite phrase.
Well, you know, we got to.
Looking real festive.
Your pussy tastes like pumpkin pie.
I never had pumpkin pie in my life. Kick it.